Thankful for you that are here with us in person and to you that are joining us online. We want to welcome you today. So the subject of this series of classes is about how can we make our mortal physical body as best as we can make it until our change comes. That's a great scripture in the book of Job. He said, I will wait until my change comes. So we're in a waiting position for a lot of things. We're waiting for the new earth. We're waiting for the new body. We're waiting for all this that is trying to break through, and we're in great expectations of it. But the point is, it hasn't fully stabilized itself as a new norm. So therefore, we're kind of in an overlapped position here of what is dying out and what is birthing in. So that's a time that people tell me they find confusing, and I've explained confusing to you many times, but confusion is not a bad thing. What it means is that you have left one paradigm and you're not fully connected to the new paradigm. So con really means with, if you look at it. Con is with, and fusion is fusing together. So we're actually leaving one thing that we've been fused to, an old paradigm, an old way of looking at ourselves, each other, in the world. But the new one is trying to break through, and they're kind of overlapping with each other. So I don't think it's by accident that you have chosen to be here on the planet at this time to hold this very important space that you're holding that we call the gap. That's our saying here, standing in the gap. So we're kind of trying to make all of this make sense of what is dying out and what is birthing. Right now we're still dealing with a lot of our third dimensional body, no doubt about it. We're all dealing with the process of aging. We're dealing with the process of what that means in the sense of different third dimensional symptoms. I'll call them symptoms, whether it's arthritis or all the things that goes along with third dimension in the sense that we degenerate. What's coming in will shift the clock to regenerate. So we'll move from degeneration to regeneration. So until that time comes, we want to. I think a lot of us want to be here. I can't speak for everybody, but I am not choosing at this time to leave. So how can I be the best that I can be during this time? And that's what we're trying to look at. All right, so I'm going to start in the self-knowledge supplement on page 6. And I'm down about 2 paragraphs. And it's where it says, another question discussed is, why doesn't proper nutrition cure diseases and major health problems? I know we touched on that, but it's a good place to start from. Because proper nutrition is composed of objects of nature, and objects of nature cannot cause nor cure. That's a really important statement of the fact that we keep looking for things that are an effect to be the cause. And we have to get back to the cause of it. And then we're confusing cause and effect is what I'm saying. And that's what we've done it's what the ego mind wants to do. It wants to confuse where cause is. But what he's saying here is that it doesn't matter what you do, like nutrition or any other thing that you're doing to better yourself out here, that's really an effect, and try to use it as a cause to change things when you're not connecting to the cause. The first cause is called first cause. First cause. And so I know people, Sandy that was here. Hi, Sandy, if you're listening. But I've never seen anybody that is as committed to eating properly, whatever that means, as she is. And I've known her for 39 years. And many of those years she has been on target. She doesn't waver on birthdays or whatever. She really is dedicated and committed to eating the way she believes is the proper way to eat. And that's wonderful, and I'm sure she's the better for it, but I don't think it is the answer to her or anybody's state of being placed in a place in which we're not going to deal with third dimensional modalities and things that's going to happen to us. So what he's saying here, and let's read it. Why proper nutrition does not cure diseases, because it's composed of objects of nature. Okay? Objects of nature cannot cause or cure improper nutrition is not the cause of the condition. Now, proper nutrition can be used by the immune system. It is going to make you definitely a more healthy, better person to do things from a natural point of view. So this is saying, yes, by using a proper diet and eating properly, it's going to help your immune system to repair, to rebuild damaged cells, as well as manufacture upgraded new cells. But here's the but. That's all great. But only after, here it is, only after the thought patterns that called for the condition has been balanced and the electromagnetic currents that bind the creation to the action of those cells have been severed. In other words, whatever you do out here must come from a state of your consciousness. And we touched on that last time. Remember, I think we talked about the fact of why do we want to manifest prosperity in any level? Remember that? And we talked about, in other words, what we're talking about is intention. What is the intention behind the action? So any of you that are on any kind of, I guess, better word, programs or to try to better yourself, even meditation. Meditation is an action. To do that twice a day for 20 minutes, which is what we who have taken TM or Transcendental Meditation are supposed to be doing, is 20 minutes twice a day with a mantra. But that's an action. And when I first learned that, Tim and I both in 1990 and took those lessons, we were very committed to do that every day. Every day. In the morning we did 20 minutes. In the evening we did 20 minutes. And pretty soon, it just became an action. It just became a reaction. And we started doing it, and we weren't doing it mindfully. We were doing it because this is the time of the day we do it, and this is what we do it, and we kind of lost why are we doing it? What is our purpose for doing it? What is our intent behind? So that could be in anything. That could be in your diet, meditation, anything that you do. Exercise. Oh my God, exercise is a big one. You know, what is your intent behind action of exercise? Any action. So he's saying we can do all these things and it will be for the betterment of us, but it will not be what it could be until after the thought patterns have been changed, and that's where the why comes in. I do think people have fallen into this thing of what they need to do, when they need to do it, but I think we've lost why do we do it. This is the only way any condition or situation of life can be permanently changed. Some of them may be temporarily relieved, and that's what happens. So like right now, I got a little back thing going on here. I'll go get a shot, and I'll get relieved for a few months, and about every 6 months, my SI joint goes out, and I go get a shot, and it's just a constant. I'm just chasing the effect after the effect. Where I need to spend my time is why. And why is this happening in the same place? So until I can correct the cause of why this is happening, I will never in any way change the pattern that causes it to happen. The reason is because we are creators. Little c, but we are creators, and this is the manner which cosmic law of the universe holds us, remember, responsible for what we have created. We are the creators of our own reality. Our reality can only be changed, corrected, and upgraded by balancing, transmuting the thoughts that created it. I think reading this is why I did what I did in the 10 o'clock class today. And we just went through parts of our body and connected to it and was grateful for it, and we used the power of the observation to observe it differently, raising the power of the observer. So now the question is asked, don't we have the free will to change the things we don't want? He says, yes, we are free to will what we want, but once that desire is put into thought form and issued into the atmosphere, and the word atmosphere then brings us into epigenetics. Epigenetics is the atmosphere that we create in the inner environment of how we create. And the action of it is tied to our electromagnetic keynote. Now, we talked about that. Anybody remember that? Your electromagnetic keynote. What did we say about that? Anybody remember? So we talked about karma.
Personal.
Yes, your personal keynote. It is your personal keynote of your I am presence. So the fact that we embrace the idea that we're one, we're of one field, we are of one spirit, one energy field, we get that. I understand. But we must be individualized in time and space. Unfortunately, that's where people start helping us to build a mindset in the fact that the first thing that your family begins to tell you often, meaning well, that there's nobody like you. You're a one of a kind. But they're putting that in the wrong place. They're putting that into your physical body identity, which is true. There is nobody like you physically. But that's the wrong place. The wrong place is we got to come back to the essence of who we are. That's where we share. We all share in the essence. I like the word essence. The word essence means that which makes something what it is. The essence of something. So the essence of us is a spiritual being, or now we say an energetic being, same thing, spiritual, energetic being. We are one. We sing it, we say it here all the time. But how can universal law work in our life until we have been individualized? And to do that, each one gets their own key note. I guess we could call it a keynote. It's a keynote. It is your own I am that nobody else has. So that's why action and reaction works as universal law. What you put out comes back, right? So if we're all one, how would my action return to me? Somebody's phone is buzzing. Please turn your phone off. Oh, it's back there. Okay. Well, he's not here. Anyway, moving on. I hope you get what I'm saying to you is it's important that you realize you have your own unique code. I don't know what that is. I'd like to work more in researching a little bit more. How can we find out? But I don't think we're supposed to know. I don't think we're supposed to know that in the human part of ourself, in the ego part of ourself, because it would use it. Some things are better to stay in the mystery. And mystery just means mystery to how the human mind works. How do I do that? There's just some things it doesn't need to know, because then it would use it for its agenda. So it's kept into the what I call the mystery part of our consciousness. So the point is, I don't know that I need to know it. I just know that it works. I know that the universal law works. I don't have to understand it. I believe in the law as above, so below, the Hermetic law. I don't have to understand and break it down into a mental construct to understand that. I just know it works because it's universal law. So, all I want to say on that is every one of you has your own personal way in which the universe finds you in location of time and space. And I want to say, and that's why we shouldn't be too worried about people, what they do and don't do, because nobody's going to get by with anything. You know, we think people get by with stuff. Nobody gets by with stuff. What's going on today in the world, all this that's going on out there, don't worry, everybody is totally going to have to deal with their actions and their choices, and that. We all do. And therefore we don't have to go out and save everybody and try to change everybody. I don't know about you, but I think it takes a full-time job to work on ourselves without trying to fix everybody else out there. So anyway, the fact that we are held responsible is important. All treatments, medications, exercise of any form of resistance is merely chasing symptoms around each condition, right? This is the only way that any disease, malfunction, and social habit or negative condition in our life can be permanently eliminated. Later in the course, we will learn how to transmute from the belief system all of these old, false, negative, contradictory belief systems that are now qualifying your current thoughts, thereby causing all your problems. Wow. I'll read that again. You will learn how to transmute from your belief system all the old false, negative, and contrary belief patterns that are now qualifying your current thoughts, thereby causing all your problems, diseases, and difficulties. Once the belief system is cleared of these dominant, controlling belief patterns, then you can start loving yourself, praying to your God, making calls to your own I am presence. So at this point of the course, you don't need to be concerned with getting results or even with true or false aspects of the information. Just hold it in the focus of your attention, and the mind will follow the flow of the energy. So, this is where we start today. Another question dealing with the secondary causes of aging is, why is the function of the thymus gland so important to the operation of the immune system? So we're going to talk about the thymus gland. I actually did the teachings on the thymus in the last class that we did. So let's just look at it for just a moment. Medical science is at last recognizing that the Greeks knew thousands of years ago that the thymus gland controls the life energy of the body. And this is from Life Energy, Dr. Diamond. It's a great book, but it's also in my stuff that Connie just transcribed, and there's some really good stuff on the thymus. But anyway, the Greeks knew thousands of years ago that the thymus controls the life energy of the body. In fact, the Greek word thymos, Thymos, actually meant life energy. According to Far Eastern teaching, there is a subtle energy manifestation circulating in the viscera of the flesh and ultimately permeating every living cell and tissue. The name given to this energy form at a particular level is translated as life force, vital energy, or vital energy force. The thymus gland lies just beneath the upper part of the breast bone in the middle of the chest. So you can kind of just feel it right between the thyroid and the heart. It's about right here. It's about where the, I think, first rib would be, right here. Until the 1950s, little was understood about the thymus. In fact, until that time, they believed that it had no function in the adult at all. Now, everybody knows it gets thyroid tests. People take thyroid medication. We used to thump our thyroid 21 times. That was big in the 90s, and I don't know what that was about, to kind of do it. Now we do a tuning fork. We do the ohm tuner. You should do that on your thyroid and thymus every day. Keep it by your chair where you watch TV or meditate so that you don't forget it. Take it, sound it, and let it vibrate right here. And that will keep the vital energy moving throughout the day. Although there has been clues to its function for many years, the standard teaching was that the thymus gland had no function at all in the adult, a delusion fostered by the fact that during autopsy, the thymus was usually found to be quite small. This is because the thymus, in response to acute stress, such as an infection, can shrivel to the half of its size in 24 hours. Eventually, it was realized that the thymus shrinks rapidly during serious illness or great physical stress. The thymus plays a vital role in the body's immune system. Now, if you want to make sure you get through all this pandemic stuff and all of this, you really want to focus on the thymus gland. The thymus gland monitors, regulates energy flow through the body's energy system, initiating instantaneous corrections to overcome imbalances as they occur, so as to achieve a rebalancing and harmony of the life energy. Further, the link between mind and body, being the first organ to be affected by mental attitudes. Whoa. First thing that is affected in the body by a mental attitude is the thymus, being the first organ to be affected by mental attitudes and stress. A healthy, active thymus gland makes for vibrant and positive health. Just a little bit more and I'll go with it. But here I want to concentrate exclusively on the mental aspects of the thymus gland because, as we know, most diseases starts at the mental level before they become physical. So, much interesting things here. Let explain how to test the thymus. I'll begin with a review of the testing technique described at the beginning of the book. As we will recall, it takes 2 people to perform the deltoid test, in other words, muscle testing. Choose a friend or family member in whom we will call your subject for testing. Have the subject stand erect, right arm relaxed to the right side, left arm held parallel to the floor. So this gives you a whole way of doing that with each other, which we could certainly do at some time. This shows a picture of a lady holding her finger on her thyroid, her thymus, and then you have somebody see, does it test weak or strong? So there's a lot on the thymus I could go into. I won't do all that today. But he did mention here the importance of the thymus gland in this idea of having and slowing down our aging process. Now, if the instructions in the blueprints are confused, scrambled, or even reversed because of the negative force field in the belief system where they are qualified, then they will only neglect to destroy the bad bacteria. But they will also attack good cells by destroying everything in their path. The medical profession recognizes this condition as cells that run wild. When the cells reach the stage, the immune system is greatly overworked and cannot keep up with the extreme demand for new cells, and in some instances, death occurs. Now, the thymus gland records, controls, and disperses the instructions, but it does not have the conscious range to alter them. That's a really good statement. Let me read it again. The thymus gland controls, disperses the instructions, but does not have the consciousness range to alter them. I mean, consciousness plays such a important part in how we transform anything or change anything. It all comes back to the consciousness behind something. Therefore, the blueprints that have their instructions disarranged by a negative belief system stored in the brain reach the mother cells that divide them, and then the newly born cells carry out their patterns of destruction. The thymus gland also receives and transmits the instructions for blueprints of the cells and have other functions such as metabolism and the elimination of the cellular waste. From all of that, the bottom line is how important the thymus is. Please, it's a very simple thing to make sure that you give some attention to the thymus. Yes, Jackie?
What is the frequency of the tuning fork that you use on things?
I do have that over there. I'd have to look at it, but I have tuning forks for every part of the body, and it's a good thing to look up, but I do have that frequency. But I think using the ohm tuner, which is, we call that a universal sound. You know, that the ohm is the original sound of everything. So I think the ohm would probably do as well, if not better, to stimulate. How many here have an ohm tuner? That's the majority of you guys. So please use it. That's one thing I do use. I use it on my sinuses. I use it on my face, headache. Use it. I mean, it's just easy. Just sound it on something, let it vibrate, and just set it on there and let it go for 10, 15 seconds or whatever it is. And I really encourage you to do that. But I do have that, and I can look it up and see when I look in there and see what it is. Because the instructions for new cells are determined by and must reflect the image of the thought patterns in the belief system, shows why treating the thymus gland or any other organ in the physical body is just chasing symptoms around. The thoughts that are calling for these conditions must be balanced and He did. Another important question, I'm down on the second paragraph on page 8. Another important question discussed in regard to this chapter is, what is the law of thought? The law of thought is the active side of the universal law of the circle. All cosmetic laws are based on the law of the circle because it represents the action of radiation of energy out from its source and the action of the magnetism drawing the energy back into its source. The law of thought carries out the purpose of the universe. Its action is based on the vibratory frequency of the inherent intelligence applied to the thought form. The reason is because intelligence is the medium through which mankind expresses free will. Okay, let's go back into our glossary. And let's go back again and read the definition of thought or thinking. And those are not numbered back there. I did my own numbering. So if you want to number the glossary, just... So it's on page 24, but look under T, and you will see at the bottom on the right hand, thinking. Thinking is the process brought about by the energies of feeling and desire according to the individual's wants, needs, and beliefs. Through thinking, the individual establishes his belief system. Through the belief system, one creates, directs, and eventually destroys one's physical body. No wonder there's things like choose this day life or death. It says in the scripture, choose this day life or death. You know, we have to really look, what is in the core of our being? What choice have we made? I'm not talking about on the surface of the mental. Half the time we don't even know what we want. We think we want this and we think we want that on the mental plane. But in the essence of the core of our being is where you have to make the deepest choice and responsible for making the choice that sets the trajectory of your life and what you're going to manifest. So, through thinking, the individual establishes a belief system. The belief system creates, directs, and eventually destroys his body. I really thought about that because I thought, man, what I said last week was very challenging. These are very challenging ideas because of the fact that our thinking has so became, what's the word I want? The thinking has become so ingrained. It's ingrained. It's in the grooves of our mental body until it's just hard to believe it differently. It's hard to believe the fact that somebody really can use their mind to heal a disease or to, you know, I know on the surface we kind of all believe that, but we're not really seeing that. We've got to go to we got to go deeper than the mental atmosphere. You know, there is a Descartes that says, I think, therefore I am. That's totally wrong. It should be I am, therefore I think. See the difference? And that's what's happened, is we think, and we think that's what we are. Because in the thinking are these belief systems and whatever we've downloaded about ourselves from outside of ourselves, and therefore we create this I am that we're not. So once we get to the true I am and allow it to become the thinker, then we begin to manifest the mind of God into the outer world whatsoever. So the belief system is big here. Another thing, the two that's been kind of turned upside down is the fact that we read things, we learned things from teachers and ministers and whoever, and we've decided whether we're going to believe them. So we believe them because somebody else said them. And most belief systems are based upon something other than self-knowledge. In fact, we've been taught not to trust our own self-knowledge. I was. That was the tool of the devil, was to trust myself. I had to trust something other than myself, something separate from me. But I didn't do that. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I don't think I'm that great about it. But for some reason, I just didn't settle for what I was told. From a very, very young man, I didn't believe it because, as I told you this weekend, how much I loved my aunt, and she was my pastor, and how much I just idolized her and anything. I didn't believe everything she said. I just didn't believe. I didn't believe everything my parents said. Because all the time they were just parroting what they had learned and parroted their religion and parroted their whole culture experience and whatever. And that made me the kid that was stubborn. Of all my cousins and everybody, it's David that's the stubborn one. I wasn't trying to be stubborn. I was trying to stay true to the process that started in me at a very young age. Very young age. But the crossroads in it was, am I going to trust it, or am I going to suppress it and go back and trust what I'm being told? And the reward for that is validation. People sell out for validation of the family, of the tribe, of society and culture. People just think they need to be validated all the time because they've never validated themselves. And because they want validation, they give away themselves for it. And if you don't, trust me, it's going to be a different path to walk. If you're going to stay true to your own innate inner process and not give it up, people are not going to accept you very well. So let's all give ourselves a little pat on the back that we've made it this far, and not fully giving ourselves away for the validation of this of the world and what the world wants basically from us. Through the belief system, we create, direct, and eventually destroy our body because that's what we believe. We just believe. I hear it all the time. And I don't know that I don't believe it. If you'll be honest with you, there's a difference in my believing level and my knowing level. And there the dichotomy lies within me, and I'm sure others that speak as I do, is oftentimes, am I going to speak from what I believe it is, or that deep knowing? So I don't know that I believe that we can outrun death. It just seems inevitable. Why? Because everybody says it is. Everybody, millions and millions of people for ages, has all declared this as an inevitable part of the human path, is deterioration, aging, and finally physical death. But either that makes us or we make it. And unfortunately, it has made us. Notice I'm not using create us, made us. Two different things is create and make. So when I do these teachings and I come from this deeper place and I start talking about the last enemy shall be put underfoot is death, and Christ came and did away with death and overcame death and showed us how that we can do that too. Don't think when that's all over and I come back into my other self, part of myself, that I don't wrestle with that. How ridiculous that must sound to people. But in another deep place in me, I know that life is the reality of death over death. I just know it. Now, if I could get that knowing, Jackie, to my believing, and then qualify that, I can change the vibratory frequency of the mitosis process of the cell as it dies and recreates itself. If I had cells that created itself out of a knowing belief system that death has no power over me, that I am created in the image and likeness of life, not death. And I often wonder, so what does that mean to us, that we're created in the likeness and image of a creator? Wow. And that's one of the great things, the Course in Miracles did for me. The first thing, I've shared this, but the first thing that I picked up in A Course in Miracles many years ago was a statement, and I can't quote it exactly, but it's supposedly Jesus speaking and saying, "Please forgive me for the sin that I have committed. For if you have committed it, I too am guilty of sin." I thought, oh my goodness. I can't explain, but it was an epiphany to me that if I am created one with the Creator, then I have to be all that the Creator is. And the Creator is not death. It is endless. It is without beginning. It is without end. It is without birth, without death. It is endless. Therefore, at the essence and core of my being, I am an endless life person. Because we say God, but we could say, I'm created in the image and likeness of life. I am created in the image and likeness of love. But in this system, it's what we want to have. We don't have to be it. We just want to have it. I want to have love in my life. And sometimes that becomes the very thing that does not allow us to find ourselves as the love we are, because we transfer it out here into the outer world in the projection. How do I say this? In other words, if I don't love myself, and somebody comes along and says, "Oh my God, I love you. Oh, I've never met anybody like you. I love you so much." You go, "Whoa, I think I could love me through their love." And this is where soul ties. I can't believe I'm getting into this. This is where soul ties happen with the people in marriages and partnerships and whatever. How do I say this? Is because we become so soul tied to a person who gives us what we don't know about ourselves, that we become so attached to them that we believe without them we cannot be. So if someone has convinced you you're beautiful and loving and wonderful, but you don't know that you are love and wonderful in being, and it's through them, they got to stay there to tell you that, and you've got to see yourself through them. So, when they leave, or it all changes, you become devastated. And here's the thing that happens with a lot of situations, is people stay in abusive marriages and relationships because they have given so much of their soul to that soul that when they leave, they take part of your soul with them. And the only way to keep the part of your soul that is in them is keep them there. So we start playing every game there is to stay in something that we should not have stayed in. I can't believe I'm getting into that, but I've seen it. I've seen it. I've counseled too many women, especially. I can't tell you men has come to me much about it, but women who just say, I'm in an abused relationship, but I don't know. I don't know how to live without it. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, people were so tied into it, they stayed in the abuse. And you're going, why? Why would you stay in a situation that's abusive to you? Because they got a piece of me. I gave it away. And I'm telling you where this most happens is in the physical sexual act of reaching an orgasm with another person. When you reach that frequency, you mesh so much together that there's an exchange of soul. And this is why, if people would have been mindful and smart, all of us, that there are certain people we should not have been with physically. This is where people don't realize they get in trouble when you start spreading yourself around. It's not a moral thing as much to me as it is of the fact of be careful who you merge with on an energetic frequency level. Just thought I'd throw that in. That was shown to me a long time ago. The law of thought states that everything existing on the physical plane is the materialization of a thought which must be balanced by the individual who created it. Here's another thing. I mean, I appreciate people wanting to come to me, and I pull back from a lot. I guess you've noticed. I don't do much tunings anymore. I do very little counseling here, although I'm always open to it. I mean, feel free. Come. I'm a good listener. I'll come and talk to you, but I never do anything to discourage you from working it out in yourself. If you need a space to do that you can trust, I'm more than glad to give you that space to do that. But you can't solve your issues by something I say. Does that make sense to you? So the thought must be balanced with the individual who created it. It's got to be done by you. You're the one that has to create the balance of your own thinking. And I'm sure we'll get into that at some point as the how of that. The purpose of the individual embodying on earth is to learn to qualify one's allotted yin on the earth, which is to learn to qualify, the purpose of the individual embodying on the earth, I read it wrong, on the earth is to learn to qualify one's allotted life force energy through the process of thinking. The law of thought is that which carries out the purpose and the plan of the universe. So, we just can't seem to get away from this power of thought. I kind of question some teachings about thought, such as the confusion to me of positive thought and spiritual thought. Positive thought's a good thing because it's the opposite of negative thought, but it's an opposite. And you wouldn't know what would be positive thought if you didn't understand what was negative thought. So there again, there's that meshing of two things into each other that makes them what they are without being what they are within themselves. So I kind of guess what's trying to come through here spiritually today is be mindful and aware of what makes you become who you are. So, all right, let's go back to the pact. And we say it around here because we love each other and we tell each other. Just like today, we just want to be so grateful to to the servers and all of you that did what you did this weekend. Our hearts are so filled with love and gratitude for everything that was done like that. But even when people give you compliments and love and whatever, make sure you check that out with yourself. Does that resonate with your inner relationship with you? I hope that makes sense. I'm not saying that well. But you don't want to be told something, oh, I didn't know that until you told me. And it's all right. We don't have to play this humble card of, oh, no, I wasn't doing anything. No, I didn't. I was just doing it. We put ourselves down all the time when people try to give us compliments because we're not comfortable all the time when people tell us things that we don't feel for ourselves. So, anyway. Another important question discussed in regard to this chapter is, what is the law of thought? The law of thought is the active side of the universal circle, and we're going to learn this circle thing here in that way. So we got 10 minutes. I want to go into soon about aging and what aging is. I told you there's a new thing out there that's received another label called ageism. Ageism. Ageism is the stereotyping and or discrimination against individuals or groups on the basis of their age. This may be casual or systemic. The term was coined in 1969 by Robert Neal Butler, who described discrimination against seniors and patterned on something called sexism and a part also of racism. Any ism you got to be careful of. Experience with everyday ageism is mostly among the ages of 50 and 85. So there's a whole thing on the internet. It's got its own little box now, and it is about ageism. And we need to, as I think I mentioned this last time, but to realize that we should not feel like it's done because we're older. I know our bodies are challenging to what it was 20, 30 years ago. I realize that. But our minds are full of experience and wisdom to share. These kids that come here they need to be shown and taught that. We should not allow them to look at a bunch of old fogies over there that are out of touch with everything because they're old. They need to be taught to respect the elders and the experiences of what they can learn. So I just want to give that to all of us today, where our richness is in our experiences. HeartLight, to me, is the result of people's experience. That's why everybody can't run in here and just join up with us. HeartLight is a level of consciousness that has been reached by experience. Everybody here comes from different religions and different childhood, and our stories are so unique, but our story is what brought us to this place that we could come together. So it bothered me when I first came here because everybody was saying, you're not going to make it without the young people, without the youth. God, let's get the young people. Let's get the youth. I just don't see aging that way. I see it in the spiritual. As I've taught you, babes in Christ, adolescents, and adult. And I don't care what your years are, your age are. There's people in their 80s that are still babies spiritually. They wouldn't know the spirit if it stood in front of them. And then you have these kids come in sometimes that are 5, 6, 7 years old, and you look in their eyes and you realize, oh my God, that's an old soul. They brought in something. They've got something. So we've got to get off of this numbering of years to define our aging process. You like aged wine. You aged beef. Yeah. Well, we're aged beef and wine. And we have something to share. We have something to say. And it can't be just from total knowledge, but it has to be knowledge with experience in some way. Well, today just seems a little off for me because I every time there's a holiday and we miss Monday, I'm totally off. So today is Tuesday to me. So this feels off today in some way. All right, we got 5 minutes or so. Any sharing or questions or anything you want to share? Please feel free to do so.
I just heard something about, it was just on the news about leukemia and how they found a cure by taking T cells out of people's bones, cleaning them up, and putting them back in, and they live for another 10 years. Now,
Yes.
this is just started.
Yeah.
They don't, I mean, it doesn't work for everybody,
Right.
but I mean, it's very promising.
It's a breakthrough, though.
It's a
It's a
breakthrough.
breakthrough of our
Yeah.
potential possibility. Beth?
This doesn't necessarily have with what we were talking about today, but I know you talk a lot about repeating things, and sometimes I need a lot of repetition to realize what I'm doing or not doing. And I realized last week when you were talking about saying, I am this or I am that. There's a lot of things I don't say I am about anymore because I'm kind of learned better. But I always go around saying I'm tired. And I never thought about it until all of a sudden, for some reason, it hit me when you were talking about it over the weekend. I'm tired because I keep telling myself I'm tired.
Exactly. That's a great self-revelation for all of us. So how would, I thought then, what is the appropriate thing to say is, my body is feeling tired? And leave out the I am.
Right.
Don't attach it to the I am. Today, my body just happens to be a little tired or feel tired. But that's not attaching it to the power of the I am. Because the I am, the minute you attach it to the I am, the I am will make it become real. So every time you say I am tired, the I am says, okay, tired. That's what we're doing. Yeah. So yeah, that's an important part of it there too. Anybody else? All right. If you have anything to give the class, I appreciate it. I still want to continue to promote Jackie's new book. I think it is so good. And we want to continually, if you haven't gotten it, I think it's a very good thing to get. And as holidays come on, I think it'd be a great gift to give some of your family, or not just anybody, but you have some people that's a little more open than others, I'm sure. Somewhere. What a great gift to give people. And I hope we think that way this year in our gift giving, that we just don't give things, but let's extend things that holds the right vibration and frequency. You never know where it's going to end up. That person you give it to may throw it in the trash, and the trash man is the very one that needs it. And got it out and went, wow, I needed this. So you never know where things are going to end up like that. So I just so admire the fact that we have some material that can be shared that is transitional type material that can answer a lot of questions about the things that we take for granted that we talk about. Let us pray. Holy Spirit, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We do rely upon you to take the words today of Gene Davis and his great dedication and the years that he was here and the research that has been handed down to us and has continually stayed with me. Thank you for the information and the responsibility that I feel to keep this information available and out there for those that are ready for it. Make it real to us, what is to be made real. What is not, let us put it on the shelf of our contemplation until it resonates our own innate intelligence and we are awakened and expanded in our consciousness. We thank you, and so it is. Thank you. All right, have a great day, great week. Appreciate it.